So I wanted to share about this case that I had a friend that's a therapist referred this client to me just recently. And not many things like spook me, but this was one of them. And you'll know why when I get into it in just a sec. So I'm with this client, and when I first meet clients, I usually give them a chance to kind of speak and go through what their struggles are, allow their different parts to come in, their storyteller to, kind of give its perception of the landscape. And I feel like this is really important because it gives parts a chance to be heard and to be heard by me. And honestly, I feel like I'm kind of going through a vetting when this happens. How is she going to respond, to my continuous dialogue instead of just getting to an IFS session. So at one time he started describing this part that was in the back of his neck. And this part was building this kind of exoskeleton that was embedded into his spine. And at times it had claws on it, and the claws would go into him and create a lot of fucking pain. I was like, oh. But it was supposedly protecting, and that's what it said. It was protecting. And this part actually came up in the session, our first session. And I noticed one thing, but I wasn't able to process it until later. But I watched his eyes go into the back of his head. And I don't just mean he's looking up. I mean, his eyes were like going back, and they were like going back and forth and going like to where they disappeared in the back of his head. I was like, what the fuck is that? So after I processed it, but before that, let's rewind. I asked this part when it came forward, like a lot of questions, and just assuming it's a protective part, because I mean, in this work, parts can appear in any kind of way, so I can't just like assume that, oh, this is a little critter. So it had said that it's been with him all his life. It was in the womb. And when I was asking it, I do this with different parts. Say, would you be willing to take back the pain just a little bit, just so that the client can have a little easier time. And he's like, I tried that 2 weeks ago. I said, okay, well, what happened? He goes, he failed. I said, well, how did he fail? He was happy, the part answered. And this part was talking directly through the client. It would not give space, even though it said it was going to give space, but it was like direct access. So I was like, he's not allowed to be happy? He goes, no. And so I have to remind him. I was like, whoa. And what happened next, I'm trying really hard to remember the sequence of things. But I was asking it questions, about like, when did it come, and that's when I got the information. It's been in the womb with him. It's been with him his whole life. And then I asked, did you come directly down the bloodline? And that's when that part like stopped the communication. And then the parts that were in terror came. And it's almost like this part like activated the terror parts. They come in, and my client is having a full-on panic attack. So I had to, okay, the most important thing in these moments is to stay calm. So I talked to the terror parts. I was like, hey, terror parts. Hey, welcome, and they were like, oh, someone's talking to me. they wanted to go in trees, so they went outside, got settled into trees, and all was well. Okay, so after I processed that, I realized, okay, my client, this part was talking through him. Oh, another important piece. When I asked this part, what do you want to be called? It said it wanted to be called the client's name. And I was like, no, I'm not going to call him that. I didn't say that out loud, but I was like, so I just kept referring to it as the part. But that was another kind of like, so I also asked it, later, are you part of the client system? Are you part of him? And it said yes. And I was like, okay. So there's like a lot of different ways you can go about this, because a UB can claim to be a part of the system if it is latched onto a part of the system. So we didn't have like a whole lot of time to go into that. So we basically ended the session, and I was going to see him the next week. And so I went into the session, and this was just a few days ago, and the client, we didn't look like we were going anywhere near that part. And I like to just follow, the organic flow of the system. And the client was was trying to give gratitude to a protector that we were getting to know. And that part came in, the one in the neck, the one that puts the claws in, the one that has the exoskeleton that's built into him. And it said, no, you're not allowed to give gratitude or any kind of love or anything to a part. I was just like, and then it started putting its claws in and creating a lot of pain. And I saw my client's eyes roll back in his head again, and that same kind of, if you watch any kind of movies with possession, that's exactly what happened. And so, no questions asked, I just told the client to surround him in the light. And this part was trying to do its little funny business, like, you can't put me in light, it can move down the spine. And I said, listen to me. I said, I'm here with you, and we can do this. We're going to do this together. I'm not leaving your side, and you're not alone. And I said, and believe me when I tell you, it has to stay in the light. You can do this. So he encapsulated it in the light. And we found all the attachments. This thing had like 7 or 8 different attachments. And it started to shape shift. And we got to the first part that it was tethered to, and it was a little child part. And then that thing in the ball of light shape shifted into that child part. And when that little one was asked to come to the client, it goes, I'm already with them. Because that thing, because of possession, there's so many different degrees of possession. And because this one was one where it totally took over, like identity and everything, all these parts, even the client, felt like this thing was it. So those regular questions that we're supposed to be asking, like, are you a part of me, and stuff like that, when something is so blended with your identity for that long, it does seem like that is a part of you, but yet it's not. It is an external energy. So there's so many different nuances. So I, when these parts were like, I feel like this is, me. And, and this external energy was also like saying that it was the moon. And that's how it got into him, because the moon is in everything. I didn't realize this until later, but my client is very much into astrology. So these things use, spiritual teachings, and they flip them. They flip them to where it confuses the client, and even, us as practitioners. into going, oh, well, how do I respond to that? They're very clever. They're very clever. I just like got really still, because being calm in the face of chaos is the greatest gift we can do for, you know, our client and ourselves, because if we lose it, the session's like boop. So I got calm and I just asked for guidance, and I just started talking about everything that I knew about these entities, just everything. And all of a sudden it changed into a scorpion. And I told him, I said, they shapeshift. This is a common thing that these sort of energies do. And I didn't know it, but my client has a lot of like Scorpio that shows up in his horoscopes, or, you know, rising suns or moons or something like that. I didn't know that at the time. But the energy, when I kept telling the truth about what it was, it just all of a sudden goes, I came in so that you could heal me. The client and everything was like, whoa, you know, because it's never said anything like that. And it's almost like it broke the spell. And I asked, you know, it to touch the light, you know, and this was the first time that one of these was just touch the light. And it was like, oh, I, you know, like it and stuff like that. And I mean, that was weird. But it wanted to go up to the healing, you know, realms. And so, but it needed help. And I asked if there was any kind of guide that was around that would assist. And sure enough, there was, thank God. And it came and it started lifting the being, but the other little parts were tugging it down. And it's like I was paying attention. And this was one of those moments that I thought that this is going to go really bad if we don't do something quick. I saw the client's face, and it looked like there was going to be like a whole exorcist movie thing going on. He's being lifted up. The other parts are pulling. This is where that, you know, tearing, where that tugging that you see with like the different exorcist priests happens, you know, where all that super scary shit happens. And at that moment I went, okay, this could be one of those situations. Okay. So I was like, hold on, guide. Okay, stop pulling them down. Come bring them back down. Bring them down. Okay, cool. Can you help us with these little parts to let go? And so the guide helped the little parts, spoke to them. They agreed to let go and come to the real, you know, insert client's name. And he was able to go to the healing grounds. And made sure that, you know, I just, you know, take all your stuff, your tools, your soldiers, your parts, everything that belongs to you. And within the client, there was like all this popping going on. It was like a pop, 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 pop. Almost like those things were going in that sort of way. It was crazy. And all I can say is when it was like all said and done, I got a message from the client like the day after, or a couple days after the session, and he said this was the first time that he's been able to start giving compassion to his parts, because that part is not in the way anymore. And I was just like, whoa. So I hope this video is helpful, just to like start a conversation about some of the different things that, you know, can be put in front of you that you're really not necessarily prepared for, and just to encourage you to find that calm and to tap into your creativity, and just allow, you know, the session to guide you, because it will. And yeah, if anyone ever has any like questions, or if there's something that you would like me to expound upon further, I would be happy to do that. So anyway, I hope everyone has a great day, and thanks for watching.